The CBC's Nicole Williams has been listening in, and she joins us now. And so, Nicole, the mayor mentioned it a number of times. I mean, it is really hard to hear, right? A 2.5-month-old baby as well, and the oldest was a 7-year-old son that died in this absolute devastating tragedy.
Yes, this is an extremely disturbing story. We've had a lot of questions about exactly what happened here after police were called, around 11 o'clock yesterday evening. We're now, as you mentioned, learning a lot more about who was involved. So, forgive me, we're all just learning about this now, but we know that the victims are a 35-year-old Darshini Ashwini from Sri Lanka and her 4 young children. Andrew, as you mentioned, extremely young, right? We have a 2-month-old baby, a 2-year-old girl, a 4-year-old girl, and a 7-year-old boy. Extremely, extremely young. The other victim, a 40-year-old acquaintance that was living in the house with this family, and her husband also involved and seriously injured. He is the lone survivor of this incident. Police say what was involved was an edged weapon. They're not being any more specific than that. We can presume that it was probably something like a knife that was involved. And we're also learning that these folks were just newcomers to Canada. They hadn't been here for very long from Sri Lanka, and the High Commission, we know, are reaching out to the family's relatives back home. Now, we're also learning a little bit more about the accused. He is, as you mentioned, 19-year-old Febrio De-Zoysa from Sri Lanka as well. He was in Canada recently as an international student, also living here. It's unclear exactly what his relationship is to this family, but he was living here at the time, and police say when they arrived on scene, they were able to arrest him quite quickly. Now, he is charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. It's being described as a senseless act of violence that police really are still trying to figure out. They say there is a vigil set up nearby for people to pay their respects because they're trying to ask people to stay away from the actual scene itself while police conduct their investigation. But a little while ago, we actually did see some neighbors drop some flowers, in respects to the family. So really a horrifying scene, one that I think a lot of people are trying to make sense of. Mayor Mark Sutcliffe said, now will be a time for everyone to come together and to support each other as we really try and unravel what happened here.
And Nicole, you've been reporting there. Can you just tell us a little bit more about where you are and the kind of reaction that you have seen in this community? Because for so many people to have been killed in this quiet neighborhood, and again, so many of them young children.
Yeah, so I'm just in a really quiet intersection in the Barrhaven neighborhood. That is about, a few kilometers south of the downtown core. Like I said, it's a quiet suburb. It's normally really peaceful. We have been speaking to neighbors all day who say this is really, truly horrifying. Not many people that we've spoken to, at least, knew the family living inside, but there are children around here. There are 2 schools nearby, and I think a lot of people are really just trying to digest what happened. It's pretty unimaginable, and they say their thoughts are with the victims and their families.
So before we let you go, Nicole, can you just, for those viewers who are just tuning in, can you just walk us through, from what we heard in that news conference, what happened last night, and how was it that 911 was called and police and paramedics arrived?
Yes, well, police say, they received calls, just before 11 last night of people screaming in this neighborhood. And so they arrived, like I said, just before 11. And as they arrived, they say they found one of the victims. I think it's the father, was outside on the lawn, covered in blood, obviously distressed. They say they were able to apprehend the suspect pretty quickly. They're not really sharing any details about exactly where he was, but of course when they went inside, that is when they found those 6 people dead. Again, 2 adults, 4 children between 2 months old and 7 years old.
And as you mentioned, the father, the male who was in the street yelling for people to call 911, we heard from police there saying that he is in hospital in serious but in stable condition. Nicole, thank you. That is the CBC's Nicole Williams live in Ottawa.